Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Plugin Roundup here on iThemes Training. It is March 2023, and once a month we take a look at the WordPress plugin directory, plugins, generally speaking, that were added to or updated in the directory in the last month or so, and we may put a list together, usually about a dozen plugins that we thought were interesting. If you are just joining us in Zoom, pop open the chat, say hi, tell us where you're logging in from today. It's good to see folks from around the world logging in for this webinar. Always great to see everybody. The link is there in the chat to download this handout. And if you're watching this on the replay, you can just click the download handout button below the video, and you can have this as well. This is our list of plugins for this month. Always with the caveat is, these are not things that we've thoroughly tested, right? So I've been making a point of this the last several months because I've gotten some comments about, well, this doesn't work this way and this way. And this, like, we're not spending hours of time on each of these plugins. We're looking at them and saying, hey, this is kind of interesting and it might be helpful to you. So if it's something that you're planning to use on your own site or for a client project, just test it, do your own due diligence, and make sure it's going to, meet all the criteria that you have for compatibility and security and privacy and accessibility and all those things. Like Chris just said in the chat, one of our main criteria is that when we activate the plugin in the testing environment, it doesn't cause a fatal error. That's always a plus. So, we weed those out right away, usually, right? All right, so let's start with a plugin that I could have sworn we did years ago, a couple of years ago probably here, but I can't find it in the archive. So maybe I just dreamed it, but it's one that Hillary suggested, and I really like it. I've actually used it on a couple client projects. I think we've done it, but I can't find it in the list. So we're going to do it again because chances are maybe you haven't seen it. It is called Stock Pack by Daracon Development. And this is a really cool way to access many of the stock art libraries that are out there, both free and paid. So we've done a number of different plugins over the years here on the Plugin Roundup that will allow you to connect to some external stock library. Like there's actually an official plugin for Unsplash, for example, that is created by Unsplash to let you connect the media library. You get a little tab up there and you can search the Unsplash library directly from within the media library. And so this is one that actually does multiple libraries, and it's kind of clever. So let's take a look at Stock Pack. And we're going to activate it first, right there. And now there is some setup process that is required here. And this is, as I was mentioning in the pre-show, one of the general guidelines we have for the Plugin Roundup is that a plugin, number one, needs to be in the WordPress plugin directory. We don't do premium plugins or Code Canyon plugins, none of that. It's a freebie. And also, it needs to, like the main functionality of the plugin can't really depend on connecting some API to some third-party SaaS out there. Like we're not just looking for some way to bring a SaaS into WordPress generally, but this one does have a connection that allows it to, it connects to the StockPack website, which then allows it to connect to all these other stock art libraries. So we kind of bent the rules a little bit on this one, but I think it's worth it. It's an easy setup at stockpack.co. And let me get into the settings here so you can see that. And lest anyone try to copy my token, it does extend off the screen here, and I'm going to delete it when this webinar is over. But so basically what you do is you go to stockpack.co. There's a link right down here to do that. And you basically just sign up for a free account and grab your API key, the token here, drop it in. You do have the ability to, number one, turn on safe search, so no, adult images show up in your search. And then you can select which stock providers do you want to connect to. Now, it's actually a two-step process because, actually, let me just log in right here, just so you can see what the back end looks like on their site. Take me just a second to log in. All right, so here's the back end of here, and notice I've selected a couple of, well, you select one as the default basically. So once you're logged in, you've created an account, you copy your token right there, and you select which is the default stock library that you want to search. So I've got Unsplash, here selected, but you can also connect, look at this, to Adobe stock. And so it's like this is why it needs this stock pack website kind of as an intermediary, because you connect your Adobe account here. If you use deposit photos like I do, because I have 1 million credits that I bought on AppSumo for deposit photos, you can connect it there. It also connects to Getty Images and iStock. So you can connect to all these libraries, and it will use that API connection through this plugin to pull in images. It's really cool. Now, granted, remember, if you grab the image, you're buying it from the stock service, or you're using one of your deposit photo credits, for example. But it allows you to pull stuff right in, right? But there's several here, the Unsplash, Pixabay, Pexels. These are all free, and they're reasonably good stock libraries. So now back to the plugin settings. I have all these turned off because we're not connecting those. I have these 3 options selected. And in my account, again, I've got Unsplash selected as default, but I'll have access also to Pixabay and Pexels. Now, there's a setting here that says, do you want to change the file name when it comes into WordPress? And you can yes or no, and it adds an extra step if you want to, change up the file name. You can do that. So we're just going to leave those settings as is, and let's just go into a post, shall we? And drop in an image into something. Let's just go here, and we'll drop in just an image. And go to the media library, and look, we now have a tab for Stock Pack. And opening this up, it's searching, or it wants us to search for something. So give me something to search for, anybody in the chat. A puppy, of course. Doug. So we search for a puppy, and it's set for our default provider. So right here, all the images from Unsplash. Isn't that cool? Now, if we don't see what we like here, and it is infinite scroll, so as you get to the bottom, it's thinking more and searching for more. And if for some reason you don't find the image you like on, the 8 million puppy images on Unsplash, now look, you can choose from other libraries. So let's look at Pexels, for example. And we'll just grab one from here. Oh, it's a little puppy in a cup. Let's do that one. So you can change the file name here if you want to. And we'll just hit download. We're going to agree to the terms. And it's pulling it in directly from our stock library source. All right. And look, it auto-filled our alt text. I mean, as long as this is over there on the stock site, it's going to pull these things in. Like we have a title, there's a caption with the appropriate attributions. The description is there. The alt text is there. Select. Boom. There it is. Isn't that cool? Sue, does this add a huge file size to the site? Well, okay. So WordPress by default limits the image size to 2560, right? So if the image is larger than that coming in, it's just like if you uploaded an image manually into WordPress. And that's probably what was taking some time. This was probably a ginormous image on the stock art library. So when it came in, WordPress then crunches out all its file sizes, and it's going to limit. And then if you have an image optimization plugin like Smush or eDub or Short Pixel or any of those others like that, it's also going to do its thing. This works exactly the same as if you were to upload a file manually into WordPress. Sue, I don't mean the individual picture. I mean, does it add a lot of searches? Oh, so when I was searching the images, nothing of there was being downloaded. Image search options. Yeah, none of that was actually being downloaded. That was we were actually through the API key searching through the Pexels and Unsplash library live, just as though we'd gone to that website and we're seeing all the results. It just brings that process into WordPress. And like some of you were saying there in the chat, this is what a great thing for, like, if you serve a nonprofit client that doesn't have a big budget, or your grandma's blog or whatever, just give them some stock photography and connect them right to one of these libraries, and it's really easy to do. Like, you saw how easy that was, and we're done, right? So you have a few options, but works just like that. Any other questions or comments about Stock Pack? That's one that Hillary suggested for us. So thank you, Hillary, for bringing that to our attention. I think we did this years ago, but again, I couldn't find it. So there it is. Any other questions or comments on this one before we move on? Kay, I have no comment about Getty Images. Y'all can ask me about that in office hours. I've told that story in the past. All right. Next up, scrolling down, is a plugin called Animate GL. Animate GL. So Animate GL is a library of animations that it's out there. Like you can grab it and enqueue it, and you have all these animations you can add to elements on your site. What this plugin does is bring in the Animate GL library, and it's got things like slide in and wiggle and all the things. This plugin brings in that whole library into WordPress and allows you to assign those the various Animate GL animations to different blocks in the block editor. So it's pretty cool. If you're using a page builder, for example, you probably have some way of each little element in your page builder, each module. You have a way to like add an animation to it. If you're using Elementor or Beaver Builder or whatever, you can do that. And this does the same kind of thing for the block editor. So let's go on in and activate the Animate GL plugin. And we'll take a look at how this works. Eventually. All right, so let's take a look. We have a page set up with some things on it. And actually, I'm going to go in really quickly to, okay. So there is now a page here in the admin area called Animate GL. And this gives you presets on, or it gives you examples of how these things work. And there's a little video you can learn about Animate GL and how it works. And so as we load the page, this was our default entrance animation. This gives you some examples of some of the others that are available. They're kind of cool, right? Now, the neat thing is you can change the default animation. Like you can change all of the options here. So like, for example, if we want our entrance animation to be, like you can change up, some of these things, and it gives you a live preview, and you can set that as your default over on some page. So you have really granular control over what the default animation looks like. And there's also, there's some of these things that aren't there yet, like mouse effects. There's just pull, but if we do enabled on this, watch what happens. I need to save and probably reload. Isn't that like, there's these funky animations like this, which I think is kind of cool. There's also some scrolling effects that are going to be coming soon. So effects not only with mouse interaction, but also as you scroll down a page, you can have some effect happening. So this is, they're still adding features to this free plugin, but you'll have the ability to do that. So it's kind of cool. Now in the block editor itself, let's just grab this image. I think I'm having trouble grabbing that image for some reason. All right, there it is. All right, so there's now a new right menu meta box called Animate GL. This plugin adds where you can set the different animations that you want right here as well, and duration and delay. So you have control, like for example, if you set a preset, you can change that up. Also, back on this page, you'll notice that there was CSS classes. So you could go into, for example, an image and add a CSS class to anything, and it'll pick up that animation class. So gives you a lot of options, and to bring in those animations if you're not doing that in some other way. So that is Animate GL by Creative Interactive Media. Any other questions or comments on that one besides the fact that it can make you dizzy? Yes, it can. Ben, the CSS class seems to be the best. Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? So you can put that on anything that you want to animate. Yeah. Ruby, does the animation slow down the website? Not generally, because it's just CSS. So there'd be a little bit of CSS added, but not a lot. Where it can, okay, well, Here's where it can slow things down. If it's a very old computer, because the browser has to render the animation with CSS, that's going to use the processor of the computer or the phone. So if it's an old phone or whatever, it can sort of, it can be jittery or whatever. But if it's relatively new hardware in the computer or the phone or the tablet, it's going to be fine. Yeah, CSS animations aren't very heavy. It's a great question. Sue, does the CSS animate text? I don't know what AWA means, Sue. Oh, as well as images. Yes. So it's the whole element. It's the block. Think of it that way. It's the block that gets the animation. All righty. Well, that, my friends, is Animate GL. Let's keep scrolling. Next one on the list is Inbox for WooCommerce. So if you have a WooCommerce site, I think, I was on the fence about this one at first, but I think this could actually be kind of cool. This is it's essentially, this plugin creates like a direct messaging system within WordPress where your customers can send messages to you as a site owner about questions about the products or whatever. And it's all handled right there from within WooCommerce. Now, why would you want to do this, you might ask? And the answer is, well, maybe you don't want to give out your email address to the world, And so this is like it's a internal direct messaging system for WooCommerce websites. Let me show you how this works. You may find this is a neat little addition for your store. It is Inbox for WooCommerce. So we will activate this plugin, and right here under settings, there are some settings. So let's open up the Inbox tab, and we have some questions. Where do you want to manage the inbox? Look at this. It actually will even connect to ticket systems like Zendesk and Freshdesk, and they promise more to come. So this can actually send a message right directly into your ticket system, which is kind of cool if you have a big operation. There is a pro version that has some more things. And so there's just a few little options here. And let's just see what it looks like on an actual product. I'm going to talk about that image in a little while. It's kind of cursed. All right, so here is a product. Now, the one thing about this in the free version, you don't have a lot of control over where this banner appears. This is the default banner, and this is how we send a message. So we click Ask the Seller, and we can type a message. Hit send. All right, now I just got an email as the site owner that something has happened. So I can go here into my inbox under WooCommerce, and look right there. There's my new inquiry. And look, it just shows up sort of like a text message, right? So I can say, right there. Now it knew who I was, so I'm basically talking to myself. It will ask the person for their email address if they're not logged in. Let's see what that looks like real quick. So you put your email address in right there if you weren't logged in. Yeah, and so that's where it goes. Now, if you're dealing with existing users, they will see a chain of their conversations on their My Account page. So they have an inbox right here. And so there's my open inquiry. Look at that. Kind of cool, right? Sue, I don't know if you can make that banner into a reusable block or what. I'm not sure how that works. I haven't really investigated it. It might be worth looking into. Yeah, there may be some limits on the free version. $49 a year, so not terribly expensive to do this. So if you're running an e-commerce site where you want to get some conversation happening, I think it's kind of a cool little plugin. I've never seen anything else that does this before. So kind of think it's interesting. So that is Inbox for WooCommerce. Any other questions or comments on that one? Anybody? All right, moving right along to the next one. This is called Double Dome. It is a word count widget for your WordPress dashboard. So if you have a site that has a lot of content, maybe it's your personal blog or it's, whatever, and you just want to see how many words you're writing, I think this is a neat little addition. So I could particularly see this for, personal blogs, maybe news type sites that might have a lot of articles, just to see, there's a lot of information this is going to reveal. So let's activate Double Dome. And once that's active, we'll take a look at the WordPress dashboard. And right here is our Double Dome information. So many things here. So here's our posts, average words. There's all of our products, all of our things. This is kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know why they call it Double Dome. I think that's the name of their company here. So, I'm sure they have the reason for that. But I mean, it's interesting, right? Like if I'm running a blog and I would like to see, well, how many words have I written altogether? What's the average number of words in every post that I write? Those sorts of things. So this just pulls that data up to the surface and gives it to you in a nice little dashboard widget. And notice that it's also pulling in custom post types. Our WooCommerce products are there and a couple of different custom post types that we created with pods for this demo site. And all of that's there. Yeah. So Doug, exactly. So a great way to encourage clients to blog more or other people to, if you're working with other people with personal blogs to blog more. Yeah. Like they get to see, it's like an instant reward on, posting a thing, right? So, and it only does count the published ones, not the draft ones. It's a very simple plugin, but I think it's kind of cool. We've done a number of plugins that do similar things. Many of them are they just show up like on the post screen and they only take that one post type into consideration. But this pulls everything up into a single dashboard widget. So that is Double Dome, word count details dashboard. Any other questions or comments about that one? Kind of fun stuff there. All righty. Scrolling down to a plugin that is called Spreadsheet Paste Block. So have you ever tried to pull spreadsheet data into WordPress? It is oftentimes not super easy. And it goes all over the place when you try to paste it. And sometimes the tables work and sometimes the tables don't. Well, there's a bunch of different ways to bring in tables into WordPress. There's the old, OG plugin called Table Press. There's a bunch of others that do that, and you can import spreadsheets into them. But that's really complicated. They're really large, complex plugins. This is just if all I want is a little bitty block of text, like a table from my spreadsheet, isn't there just an easy way to drop that in? Yes, and this plugin lets you do it. So let us go activate Spreadsheet Block, and I'll show you how it works. Spreadsheet Paste Block. There it is. And we'll jump up here and take a look at the page I have set up for this already. All right. Now, what I did earlier was I pasted in some stuff out of a spreadsheet. And this was just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 3, just in a spreadsheet, just like this. Matter of fact, I wonder if I can take it out of this and put it back into a spreadsheet so you can see that process. If I'd been thinking far enough ahead, I would have done this already. But alas, I did not. Okay, yes. So here's what it looked like before. And I just threw some stuff, right? This is, I'm just in an Excel spreadsheet here. This is just some stuff I put in. So just imagine any table you can think of in a spreadsheet. And all I'm going to do here is just copy a range of data, and then I'm going to paste it right there. Now, yes, the tab stops aren't exactly, it doesn't matter. It knows what to do with this stuff. And I can say, okay, the first row is headers, or maybe the first column is headers, or both of them are, or there's no headers whatsoever. Okay, great. It doesn't matter. We're going to say our first row is our headers. We're going to update, and then we're going to take a look at our post. There it is. It has put it in a table. Now you say, that doesn't look very pretty. It doesn't have borders and whatever. This is how the theme styles the table. So it is not, this plugin is not opinionated as to how the table ought to look. That's where you get into a lot of bloat with all these other table type plugins. You know, they give you all these things to design and it gets really complicated. If I just want to paste something in, here it is. And the HTML is super clean. Look, there's table, there's a T body, there's a row with our 3 table headers, and then our rows of data. Now, these are centered because for whatever reason, in my theme, in the Cadence theme, it centers the table headers. We just go through and add some basic CSS if you don't like how it looks out of the box, and all your tables are styled that way. Sue, tabs or commas, none of those things. Don't think about this as a CSV. I am literally copying live data out of the table. You know, if we want to make more, we can make more. It's just copying these live cells and I'm pasting that in. And this block is taking all that stuff and putting it into a table. Just like so. It is super easy. Oh, what does it do with formulas? I have no idea. Let's do something. Let's make a formula that says this is C2 plus 200. All right, and let's fill that. I don't know what's going to happen when we do this. Let's copy that. It's just text. Yeah, it's just text. So it pulls it in and it works. So again, this is not live data. This is just text out of the spreadsheet. Elizabeth, can the data be live linked to update? No, nope. This is a copy and paste, right? There's other plugins that will do that. We've done a number of different plugins over the years here. One is like WP Sheets to WordPress or something. And it'll pull in live data out of like a Google Sheet and display that. And it's just live updating. This is a super simple, just copy and paste. It's not for that purpose. Yeah, Sue. So basically all this thing is doing, the plugin doesn't care about this formula. It's just taking, like, for example, if I copy this and I pasted this in like a text edit, like it pulls, it doesn't matter. Like this is just plain text. It's just pasting the text. So it's taking this pasted content and dropping it into WordPress and then formatting it as a table. Yep. So there's other options if you need live connections. We use, on the agency side, we use WP data tables for that. It works really well. And there's another one, like it's like Google Sheets to WordPress, something or other, that also works. Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments on this one? That is spreadsheet paste block. Really great. If all you want to do is just drop in a table from a spreadsheet. It does that and it does it well. It doesn't do anything else, but it does that really well. Simple but useful. Okay. Scrolling on down our list to another very simple but useful plugin is this is our on the nose plugin name award winner for the week. Remove custom post type slug from URL. Guess what it does? It removes the custom post type slug from the URL. And why would you want to do that, for example? Well, a number of reasons. It may be that, you know, for whatever reason in your particular use case, you've got, let's just say, a custom post type. And here's our custom post type called movies. And we've got a post in it called Captain Marvel. Well, by default, it's the URL structure is going to be our site name, the slug of the custom post type, and then the permalink for the post right there. Let's just say for whatever reason, we don't want that slug there. We actually had something like this in a build that we're working on right now, where for some reasons we didn't want the slug in the URL. So we activate the plugin. All we have to do, remove custom post type slug from URL, and it does it. Refresh the page. Well, that was anticlimactic. I think it needs to go back to the actual post and we'll try to view it again. Nope. Okay. We have to refresh permalinks. Don't you love the build up and then nothing happens? All right. Refresh our permalinks. That will probably fix the problem. Okay. I know why it's not working. We have to select so there is this is the thing I hate about this plugin. It adds a very large top level menu link when this really should just be a settings page. I need to tell it that I want this to work on the movies custom post type. Forgot about that. So once I save this, and by the way, you can select multiple custom post types here. Now it'll work. Really? I'm sure this is entertaining for someone. There it is. Okay. I needed to actually click the link. So it pulled the movies out of the slug. So niche use case, we needed something like this earlier on a site we're working on. And aside from that really awful top level menu item, pretty good plugin, gives you a settings page, works, does a good job. That is it. That is remove custom post type slug from the URL. By the amount of chatter in the chat room, I can tell this is everybody's favorite plugin of the roundup. Am I right? Yeah. Oh, what if somebody copies the link? That is a great question. Let's just see, shall we? I think it will find it. WordPress is generally smart enough to figure that out. All right, so if somebody had movies already, let's see what happens. Yep, it found it. So WordPress frequently will just find the closest matching thing if it's just a little bit of like a slug in there like that. Okay. Well, given the amount of chatter in the chat room about this particular plugin, let's move on, shall we? To one that I just added from David Vongries called Media Toolkit. Media Toolkit. So this is a fun little plugin just dropped in the media library, just dropped in the plugin directory to help you with your media library. It does a couple of things that I kind of like. Let us go and activate media toolkit. Right there it is. And we're going to get a link now under our media menu link, which is convenient. All right. So a few things this is going to do. First, it's going to give us the ability to change up the file name when an image is uploaded. So for example, maybe I want the author's name so I know who uploaded the image. So I could say author first name dash author last name, or I could just say author full name. So this is the person who uploaded the plugin. And then I want to put the date. And then I want to put the original file name. So what this is going to do is whatever is uploaded, it's going to say author full name, the date, and then whatever I uploaded it as originally. So, to change the name of the file, this is helpful if maybe you have a bunch of people uploading things, or you want to append a date to the beginning or the end of the original file name. It also gives you the ability to change the image quality. 82% is the default JPEG compression that an image gets when it goes up. Maybe you want that to be 60% instead. Now, by the way, this only affects WordPress core functions. If you're using an image optimizer, again, like EDub or Short Pixel or Smush, they have their own little setting for this, and that's going to override this. So this is only helpful if you're not using an image compression plugin. It will give you the ability to replace the original images. So on upload, this is going to downscale the original image to the threshold of this default. So that's the WordPress default, 2560. Say you only want images to be 2000 pixels. Awesome. When you upload an 8,000 pixel wide image, it's going to downsize it to 2,000 pixels and not keep that original to clutter up the media library. So it does those three things, which I think are helpful. I would never use this piece right here because we use EDub on the agency side to optimize images, and EDub also actually does this, but I've not seen anything else that does this, which is kind of cool. So a few interesting little features for your media library, a very light plugin. It's not going to get in the way or slow things down. Pretty cool thing called Media Toolkit from David Von Gries. Vern, so set the percentage to what? Well, think about like if you're an old school Photoshop user like me, I would frequently compress or set the JPEG quality to like 60 for a web image. That's a pretty good balance, or 45 or 60, depending on what kind of image it is. You get a smaller file size that way, but it's going to depend on the image, how that compression actually works. So that's why WordPress gives a little higher default. And that's why really it makes sense to have a really good image optimizer, because it will give you a lot better sections. Oh, how do you disable it? Just leave it at the default and leave it alone. 82% is the default for WordPress. Yeah. So just leave it alone at the default setting and you're good to go. Any other questions or comments on this one? Media Toolkit. All right. Scrolling. All right. I found this plugin actually today. And I think it's kind of cool. So this is called Copy All Text. How many of you, like me, get frustrated with this feature of the block editor? I'm using the term feature loosely. Let's open up this post. Not like that. There we go. All right, let's open up this post. And so it used to be in the classic editor, I could just click in here and do Control A and copy all the text, right? Well, you can't do that now because it's all in blocks. Or, and now you can highlight, but that's kind of hard to, it's, anyway, what this plugin is going to let me do, let's just activate the plugin first before we demonstrate it, because that's usually the first step for success, and refresh the page. I'm going to get a new icon up here that just blends right in with the block editor, and it says, boom, copy all text. I click that, done. Pretty cool, right? So now all my text with one link is copied. The whole post is right there. So this is copy all text, no images, text only, right? I guess you could ask, if you want images, you could ask the padding to make a new plugin called Copy All Text and All Images. Stephanie, you could use the code editor, but if you do that, then you get all this markup. So this isn't awesome. So I kind of like this. Like if this needed to be edited or whatever, you could always look at it on the front end and copy, but this is a single click, copy all the text. And the other thing is, if you have a page with lots of layouts and things going on, you can still copy all the text and pull it over. It does occasionally it's weird. It gets some like settings, like some numbers will appear like on the separate lines that are probably settings of different blocks that appear to this plugin as text, but it gets generally, it grabs all the text. You might have to just delete a couple things. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Copy all text by the padding. Ruby is asking, is there a plugin to extract all content, images, and text without other WordPress files and layouts? Ruby, no, other than the easiest way to do that would be to copy on the front end of the website. So if you have, images in line, copying on the front end and pasting, like into Microsoft Word or something like that, that should preserve all your images that way. But there's not a way to do it that I've seen on the back end. Sue is saying use the library or the list view. I don't know. Okay, we can copy that. Let's see what happens when I do that. Oh, that worked. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. Okay, so there's another option to do this, is clicking the list view. You'd have to select all of these, and then I'm doing Command C to copy, and that gets also interesting. Didn't know you could do that easier. So you can do that, or you can get this plugin and it gives you a little icon right there to do the same thing. Kind of cool. So that is copy all the text. By the way, there's several of you I'm noticing that are chatting just to me. And if you want others to see it, drop down the little 2 above where you're typing in the chat to everyone from hosts and panelists. And that way everybody can see what you're typing. All righty. Anybody else on that one? Fun stuff. All right, next up is a plugin called Site Mode. Site Mode. Now, okay, this is a coming soon maintenance mode plugin. And you might say, Nathan, there's 8 million of these out there. And you're right. And this is one of them. It just is. It's simple and it works. And I kind of like it. So this is Site Mode from Mobeen Abdullah. And basically what you'd use this for is if you're going to pull a site down for maintenance, or this might be something to use in your starter site to hide a site while it's being developed. It has some nice little features. It's not over bloated. And I kind of like this one, actually. So this is Site Mode. And this is a brand new plugin, version 0.0.1. I think it's a week old. So let's take a look at Site Mode. And here are our options. So do I want to turn on and off? Like, is it under maintenance or is it not? And here's we have some options on what happens when somebody visits. Is it a 200 response, which is like, come back later, we're working on things? Is it a 503 server issue response, or are we going to redirect? Look at that. You can redirect to some other place instead. That is very cool. There's a delay before the redirection that you can set. I'm just going to pull this back. There, you can decide whether you want to show a login icon at the top of the screen to allow somebody to bypass the coming soon and log directly in. And where do you want that? Are we changing up the login URL? It also lets you whitelist certain pages, meaning these are some pages that I can add to the list that people can go to directly and they won't see the coming soon page. So any added here don't get the coming soon page, which is kind of cool. We can also whitelist user roles. So only administrators can view the site. Nobody else can with these basic settings. We've also got, here's our content for our page. And let me just show you what this looks like really quickly. Here's our page that we're dealing with. So there's an icon, there's our little login link, and we've got some text, and some social. So right here is our heading that shows up right there. We've got some text right here that shows up right there. We've got some, there's a logo right here that we can upload, put our own on there. There's our background image. Pretty cool. We've also got our socials. So we've got these 4 set up where you can change the links. If you want to add more, you just click on them and they appear. So easy to add socials. We got a couple of default templates. We can change within the template, changing the logo size, the background overlay, and the opacity, what fonts you're using. It's just very simple. Just drop it all in right here. It does give us some SEO options here. So our meta title, meta description, we can change those, upload a fave icon. The SEO sharing image goes here. And then there's a place to put in your Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel ID. So full featured, very simple. It's not bloated. It just works. And kind of like this a lot. So this is Site mode maintenance plugin number 8,000,001 that exists for WordPress. This one looks like a good option. It's brand new. It seems to me to be lighter than the other ones, not nearly as much complexity, but the things that you would want to do, it looks like it has. So kind of cool. Deb, does that add to the whole site only, or can you only use it to 1 or 2 pages that are being changed? Okay, Deb, so that would be this feature here where we can whitelist pages. So it would actually do the opposite of what you're describing. So if it's on for the whole site by default, unless you tell it not to work on certain pages. So if you only want 1 or 2 pages to show it, then you would have to whitelist allow list each of all of the other pages on the site. Sue, do I like this better than my private site? I mean, they're both going to lock a site down. My private site does not give you the option to do a lot of the things this does, though, like putting, your Google Analytics code, changing up the screen. This just has more features like that. Kind of cool. Site mode. Any other questions or comments on this one? Now, for those of you who've been paying attention to plugin roundups over the years, you may have realized that I tend to backload the plugin roundup with fun plugins, right? Just to keep you interested to the very end. So this month is no difference. And I have never seen anything like this before. Pi Calendar. I like this a lot, particularly if you're working with an organization that either doesn't need like a whole event calendar, but they just need some events that show up in certain places, or maybe there's only a few and doesn't need to show the rest of it. It's like an in-between I just have posts and I now have an event calendar. This lets you assign posts that are posts or a custom post type or whatever. It lets you use them in an event calendar. Watch and be amazed. This is the Pi Calendar. I think it's pretty cool. All right. So Pi Calendar. Oh, there's not even a settings page. So here's what we do. Once we activated this plugin, there's now going to be a new MetaBox item called Calendar. Look at this. There's a toggle button that says show on calendar. There's a start date and an end date. Let's say it starts Thursday. And let's just say this is a blog post about some event that's happening, right? So we get you can do times. This is going to be an all-day event. I'm just going to update this. Now watch. Right here on our page, we have it's down here. Let me put it where it's supposed to go. All right. So on this page, we have a simple short code. And that short code is simply PyCal right there. Let's view this. Because what this is going to do is take forever. There we go. This is going to give us a calendar. And look, here's a post and one of the other blog posts that I'd set. And you can click here and go to the full post. Or here's one I just did. So imagine you have some nonprofit organization, and they don't need events all the time, but they do have certain blog posts that they use that are for events. So you could toggle the event on for that event, and it would show up on the calendar. That's pretty cool. Melanie, would this work with WooCommerce tickets? I think it would. I think it works with all custom post types. Let's take a look. If we go to products, and let's edit one of these products, it should just be right over here on the side. Oh, wah, wah, wah. Maybe not. Doesn't look like it works the products. Bummer, bummer. It works with all the other kinds of custom post types, though. Like you just saw movies, it works with this one as well. I don't know why it wouldn't work with products. That is interesting to me. But see, it works with other custom post types. Melanie, look in block view. Seems like it would show up over here. Maybe it's only for the block editor. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. That might be Melanie. I would install it and play around with it. The other thing about this is cool. If you look at there's a bunch of different parameters for this shortcode under installation. So there's some options of just a post type. So you could have one calendar view that only shows posts out of a certain post type. So you can sort of classify your events together out of a custom post type. And then there's one, so changing up the type of display it is. So there's also, a list view and a week view, So, you could default, for example, to monthly list view, which would be, view equals list month in the shortcode. Yeah. So it'll also do languages here. It's kind of cool. So this is inventive. I've not seen anything like this before. I could see it being very useful in certain cases. And that is Pi Calendar. I have no idea why it's called Pi. No idea. Makes me want to eat some pie. Yeah. Melanie, what you could do is have a blog post talking about the event with the WooCommerce ad shortcode on the event to just buy the ticket. Okay. Anyway, so that's Pi Calendar. Pretty nifty, right? I like that one. All right. Scrolling down our list is the second member suggested plugin of the month. This was both by Hillary and by Doug. This one almost made the AI webinar that we did a few weeks ago. If you missed that, it's in the library on iThemes, the iThemes training site. And it's from Jordy Meow, who is a well-known WordPress plugin developer who does most of his plugins have pertained to something about the WordPress media library. And he's a brilliant developer, been around forever, and he's playing around with AI now, and this is his plugin. It did not make the AI roundup because I really only had space for two, and those two did different things better than this did. And so I showed those. This does a lot of different things. And I noticed that this morning, Stacy. This one is actually, I think there's a security issue with it currently. So it is currently closed pending review. It's going to come back for certainly, but I'm going to show it anyway. Because it does some fun things. Basically, this does require, I don't know if it's going to come back or not. Maybe there's something nefarious about this, but Jordy Meow, if it was an unknown developer, I would be worried. Jordy, he's been a WordPress developer for ages. There's just probably some small thing that they're dealing with. Anyhow, this does require an OpenAI key. So you do have to set up an account on openai.com, grab grab an API key so that it can connect ChatGPT and the DALL-E image creator into WordPress. But once it's there, you get so many things that you can play with. For example, one of the first things that I saw that I liked is right here in there's a whole bunch of stuff under here, but look here under our post names. Let's just grab one here. Spider-Man in need of new suit after Aunt May accident, which is a really funny AI generated post. But look, we can click suggest titles. So we're going out to OpenAI now and saying, give me some different titles for this. Look at that. And we can just say, right there, we're going to make that the title. And it updated it. Except it put quotes around, which I don't want. But there it is. So that's a fun little thing. There's also, under the AI playground, many things you can do. Just immediately talk with ChatGPT right here. It did update the slug. Yes, it did update the slug in that last post. Yep. See, it did update the slug. There's lots of different things in here you can play with. If we want to build content, we can do that right here. So what's a topic? Let's create something. I don't know. Incredible Hulk. I don't know what. My brain has died. Incredible Hulk finds a puppy in a cup. Puppy in a cup, right? So we'll generate some things. We're going to get a couple, we're going to get a title suggestion. This does take a minute, but this will generate all of the things. Hulk's heart melts, tiny pup in teacup. Love it. So it's thinking about all this. This is how much it's costing us so far. You can change the writing style and tone here as well. It does take a minute. Or so. Now, I will say, as we're waiting on this to generate, this was the test article that we generated. The Avengers relocate to Hawaii, and we. What happened? Interesting. Something happened. You have the AI here as well, where you can access the things from within the post as well. I wonder why that didn't view. We allowed the AI to create the featured image, and it was not great. What is up with this? Is it? I think I pulled this into a draft or something, but I don't know why that's not showing. No, this has nothing to do with the plugin. This is this particular post. How weird. It's the headline. It's on the homepage. We got a problem. This is a WP Nathan problem. I don't know. That's weird. Anyway, here's the image. This image is so bad, y'all. So this is classic AI generated image of the Avengers going to Hawaii. So oftentimes this is what you'll get when it's like an actual person or something like that. The AI is not going to generate that. And so you get this cursed image. You know, it's a copyrighted logo. So it's not going to pull all that stuff in. Yeah, and I bet you're right, Chris. I bet it is that custom post type plugin, but it wasn't attached to posts. I don't know why that's not working. But anyway, you get the idea. Sometimes these AI generated images are not all they're cracked up to be. Anyhow, all right. So here, look here. Here's our sections. Here's our content. There's an excerpt, and we can just create the post from right here and go right into it. Pretty cool stuff. It does come in as a classic block, so we can convert that to blocks. It even added emojis, which I'm not sure what I think about that, but there it is. There you go. There it is. All right. It'll create products the same way. But anyway, have some fun, play around with AI engine from Jordy Meow as soon as it comes back into the plugin directory. All right. Paul was asking what the hashes were. Those two hashes, that means an H2. It's markdown language. All right. No, there's two more actually. Wow, we're going to run over time today. Okay, this is one. How many of you have struggled with getting a PDF to show up in WordPress? Not download a PDF. Anybody can do that. But like to view a PDF in WordPress. There's a host of really bad plugins that do this, and they're really bad. This now, we have the official one just released from Adobe that allows you to view a PDF on your WordPress site. It is called the Adobe Embedded PDF Viewer. Let's just go take a look at that and activate. Oh, what was the final bill for the post? I don't know. It was less than a penny. Less than a penny. Cheap, cheap, cheap. I'm going to activate the Adobe Embedded PDF Viewer. And now that's active, and I should have a page. Yeah. All right. So here it is live. Eventually. All right. So there is last month's handout from the Plugin Roundup. Let me just show you how this works. It is a block. And so there's our Adobe block. We can upload a file or grab it from the media library. Man, this site is slow today. All right, so it filters out just PDFs. We'll hit select. And notice that we have a number of different options to show the PDF. This is our sized container, which we can set the height and width to make it work. Whatever we want it to be, an actual size, or we can do a full window, which gives everything right there, scrollable with our toolbar and everything. Just make this smaller so it all fits. There's also inline, which just drops it in without any sort of menu. And then there is a light box, which that's weird. Gives us a button, and I'm not sure why that button is so large. It wasn't like that earlier. We may have a plugin conflict. Yeah. Click that, and it opens up in a nice light box. But notice we've got our Adobe toolbar over here and so forth. We can print, we can download. You can turn these off, by the way, as well. So it's a really nice Adobe branded PDF viewer. I like this one a lot. It's really, I mean, inexplicably difficult to get PDFs into WordPress to show up like this. I'm not sure why that's been so hard, but Adobe's finally gotten into the game. All right, so that is the Adobe Embedded PDF Viewer. It does not do a flip book. No, don't get me started on flip books again. This is a scroll book. It's completely different. Okay. Yes, you can scroll it. All right. Last and certainly not least is Dino Game. How many of you remember the old dinosaur game on Google Chrome? If you went to, if you got like an error or something, it would pull up the dinosaur game where you can run your little dinosaur through the little obstacle course. So this does that, and it brings it into WordPress with a fun little short code. This is clearly the clear winner of the Plugin Roundup today, the most useful plugin that exists. Dino Game, I have a page with it on there. I got to find it. Dinosaur Game. Here we go. It's just a short code. Dino Game. You can change it with some speed and audio options, but here we go. There we go. We're running. We're running. I'm really not as good at this as I should be. It's harder than you think. And you're jumping cacti. Jumping. You can also duck if you want to. I've never gotten far enough in this game where I've had to duck, which shows that I am really no good at this. So there you go. This could be a fun, whoa, ducking for the bird. All right, so I'm Dino Gaming. It's feeding up. This could be I'm dead. So this could be a fun thing to put on a 404 page or just, an Easter egg on your client site. But that's called Dino Game, and it is there for you to download in the WordPress plugin directory. All right, everybody, that is the end of the Plugin Roundup for March of 2023. Let us end with the question that we always ask at the end of every Plugin Roundup, which is, what is your favorite plugin of the month? Please, one vote only, because we will compile these results and put them in the best of webinar coming in June. So looking, a pie calendar. Animate GL Stock Pack, Adobe Dino Game, Pi Calendar, Adobe Media Toolkit, Adobe Stock. Wow, we got a bunch of, this is tough. So Adobe Stock Pack and the Pi Calendar looks like are the winners. Stock Pack by far. So Stock Pack is the winner, with Adobe PDF Viewer and Pi Calendar as close second places. Good stuff. All right, y'all. We do have a number of webinars coming up this week. If you haven't seen yet, let me pull up that calendar for you. Tomorrow, my friend Elizabeth Pamplone is going to be with us talking about marketing minimalism. This is going to be a really great presentation. Elizabeth knows what she's talking about. She cuts out all the fluff on how to market your agency. It's really good. Highly suggest that you take part in that. It's a freebie. Register for that one. Of course, office hours coming up for members on Thursday. And then next Tuesday, it is one we've been looking forward to. So probably you've gotten the emails that say they're telling you about your Google Analytics is going to be transitioned to GA4 and so forth coming up because the Universal Analytics is going away. David Zimmerman, our SEO expert, is going to be talking about how to transition into Google Analytics 4, what this automatic transitioning that Google is suggesting really means, what's going to happen with that. David is an excellent teacher, and I would strongly suggest that you take part in that webinar, whether you're just managing your website or client websites, because there's a major thing happening, this big transition to GA4 this year, and we need to understand that really well. David's going to be there talking about this particular transition of the automatic movement that Google is doing. He'll also be there to answer your questions about GA4 in general. Next Wednesday is Fly pricing. Of course, office hours coming up on the 16th and news roundup there on the 21st. So that wraps it up for us today. I'm back tomorrow with marketing minimalism with Elizabeth Pamplone. Hope to see you then here on iThemes Training, where we go further together.